Hi, it's Diederik Gelderman here. Welcome to a 6-part training series, and it's called the COGS series. You'll find out why in a minute. Today we're going to talk about the 6 revenue producing COGS in your veterinary practice that create and, when you fix them, stop profit leakage. For over 15 years at live workshops, during online trainings, at talks and events all over the world, and when starting to work with clients one-on-one, the one thing that I notice almost on every occasion is the huge raft of untapped potential and possibilities and opportunities that exist right at the surface of every veterinary practice. Possibilities and opportunities that are so easy to turn into profit and extra income. In most cases, these opportunities fall into 6 distinct areas. And my friend Chris Newton calls these the 6 revenue-producing COGS of a veterinary practice. Now, based on Chris's 6 COGS analogy, I've put together a 6-part training series. Now you see where the COGS comes from. A 6-part training series that'll show you the 6 COGS and the opportunities that exist based on these COGS in your veterinary practice. Each training is going to go for about 3 or 4 minutes. This one's going to be a little bit longer because of the intro, meaning that you can quickly and easily grasp, understand, digest and implement these ideas into your veterinary practice. Now, my commitment on this 6-part training series is very simple: to give you the actual tools that you can apply tomorrow that'll allow you to grasp these opportunities that exist for you in your practice. Now, these tools are yours to implement with my compliments. In each training video, there's going to be me talking, the video, for a couple of minutes. There's going to be the blog that you can read and get some ideas from. And then there's going to be worksheets that you can download and action and implement directly into your practice. Now, all of these worksheets you'll be able to complete in a matter of minutes, and it's going to give you a fantastic insight into the opportunities that exist. Let's set the scene here very briefly. I'm going to spend 30 seconds on this. The average income, the average profit income in the average veterinary practice throughout the world is 8%. In other words, $1 million practice will pay all its expenses and then have a profit of about $80,000. That's horrendous, because when we compare that to the local corner store, when we compare that to dentists and doctors and lawyers and all sorts of other income professionals, their income levels are much, much, much higher. So really, we're allowing massive amounts of profit to leak out of our practice. And this series is going to help you prevent, ameliorate those leaks. Now, any business, not just a veterinary practice, any business is a little bit like a machine with cogs. You know, let me paint a bit of a mental picture here for you. Just imagine that you're driving your car to work and all of a sudden the fuel light comes on. There's clearly something wrong because you just filled up. Then the oil light comes on. Then the coolant warning light comes on. You know, you stop the car and you look underneath it and you see all these fluids leaking out onto the driveway or the roadway. Now, what could you do? You could just jump back into the car, ignore it, and hope, the problem's going to go away. But that's not what you'd do, would you? That car's an expensive piece of equipment. If the warning light on your X-ray machine was flashing, or the warning buzzer on your anaesthetic machine or something like that, you would take action, immediate action, before there was any long-term damage. These are expensive pieces of equipment. Now, that begs the question, we have these leaks happening in our practice every single day, but we don't have these warning lights, we don't have these screaming buzzers, and therefore we tend not to see, the opportunity. Your practice is a much, 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 much more expensive piece of equipment than your car, your X-ray machine, or any other piece of equipment that we've got. And we're not talking about gas leaks here, oil leaks, coolant leaks. We're talking about money leaks, profit, opportunities for profit that's leaking out of your practice every day. the chances are they're happening to your business. I'm sorry, that's the truth. And the insidious thing about these opportunities is there's no warning lights, like I said. So in this training series, we're going to be putting your practice up on the hoist and having a look underneath it, so to speak, to look and find these profit leaks for you, so that you can action them and you can grasp those opportunities for profit and put them into your practice. Now, the 6 main profit leaks, as I've indicated, and we'll talk all about these 1 week at a time. So the first one is the phone and the opportunities that exist at the phone. The second one is the differences that exist in the average transaction fee between the veterinarians. The third opportunity is the discrepancy in the vaccination recall rates that exist in your practice. The fifth opportunity is the lack of structure and the lack of systems in promoting healthcare opportunities like dental, lumps and bumps, senior care, feline wellness and the like. The fifth area is referrals. Now, I know you've got a referral program running, don't you? But it tends to be a bit ad hoc and not all that efficient or effective, and we can make that much, much better. That's a huge opportunity leak. And then the sixth cog isn't so much an opportunity leak as in a lack of coaching and training in all these key areas to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Now, sixth area, I've gone through them, and I know there's going to be someone out there, probably not you, but someone out there that is saying or thinking, I know this stuff. I've heard this stuff before. Look, please don't fall into that I know it trap. It is a big trap. May I suggest that we together roll our sleeves up and find those opportunities for you, and then afterwards you can say, I know it, if those opportunities don't measure up. So today we're going to talk first of all about the inbound phone call that results in the client coming in and making an appointment. Now, to make this really easy for you, I've attached a phone call opportunity calculator worksheet and a really, really simple phone log for you to use. When you work through this, and it's going to take you maybe 5 or 6 minutes to do that, then you're going to know the actual numbers that exist for you in your practice. You'll know the number of phone calls that are coming in the door and the conversion rate from an inquiry phone call to a client coming in. An inquiry phone call in my world is a phone call that goes along the lines of, what do you charge? How much does it cost? Now, these are the so-called tire kickers or price sensitive clients. They're not really. The only thing that they know is to ask is the only way they know to start a conversation is by asking that price question. Not many of them are actually interested in price. In fact, studies show that less than 9% of those clients are actually ringing based on price, even though they all ask the price question. So let's just park our belief system about, hey, they're price shoppers. Let's just park that for a minute and leave that alone, and we can talk about that another day. And let's just look at the opportunities here today with an unreserved eye, as that were. Now, the phone is the hugest untapped potential in your veterinary practice. Each day there are huge missed opportunities slipping through the cracks. So use the simple phone log attachment to determine the 2 numbers that you need to know. The first one is the number of inquiry phone calls coming in per week, and the second number is the conversion rate from those inquiry phone calls into an actual client coming into the practice. Now, I would suggest you do an individual phone log or track this individually per staff member that's answering the phone. It's all right to do the practice as a whole, but you're going to find that some people are very good and have great conversion rates and others are not so good. So this becomes a training issue. Now, before I go any further, this is not at all about how friendly, how helpful, how polite, how nice, how considerate your people are at handling the phone. I know that they have the best of intentions, and I know they try really hard, and I know they're really nice, but it's about how effective and skilled they are at converting those phone calls from potential new clients to actual new clients into actual appointments. And in fact, how many of those opportunities are lost to a competitor. These people that are ringing up aren't ringing just to kick tires. They're not ringing just to annoy you or annoy your staff or to, muck up your day. They're ringing because they have a problem. So if you don't help them solve it, they're going to go somewhere else. And as I said, this is not about money. This is about how the phone call's handled, because plenty of the clients that I work with will actually charge more than a competitor practice and will get, their booking numbers are full. They'll convert 7 or 8 or maybe even 9 out of every 10 price phone calls, even though they're more expensive than the local competitors. So as I said before, and I'll say it again, lost inquiry calls are not the fault of your staff, and they're also not price-based. They occur simply because of a lack of professional skills and a lack of training in how to convert more inquiries, phone calls, price shoppers, as it were, to appointments. So, by the way, if you're in doubt that this is happening in your practice, hey, have a friend, a neighbour, a colleague, a family member ring in and pretend to be a price shopper, a phone shopper in your practice. Ring up with an inquiry and see if your friends are actually offered an appointment by your team. Now, most practices don't measure that conversion rate, and they guess at the critical information. And when I talk to people at workshops or live events, on webinars or whatever, typically they'll say to me, "Hey Dick, 10 phone calls come in, we'll book 7, we'll book 8 maybe on some days." Yeah, well, gee, I've heard that so often, it's crazy. But when I ask those people and I say, "Here's a phone log, please log it for me," gee, the average conversion in Australia, the States, Europe and South Africa, 2 to 3 out of 10. Not 7 to 8, but 2 to 3 out of 10. So that conversion is way below what they think it is. So what if, always a great question, what if with some really simple phone training, you could convert, and I said 2 to 3, really good practices, 7 or 8. Most people think 7 or 8 out of 10, but they're actually getting 2 to 3. Let's be really simple. Let's assume we could bump 2 or 3 up into 4 or 5. Just get an extra couple of bookings per week. Let's not aim for bumping 2 to 3 actual into 7 or 8 actual. Let's just go from 2 to 3 actual to 3 or 4 or 4 to 5 actual. Let's be really simple, and let's do some numbers on that. So let's assume that your inbound phone call numbers are 20. It's a fairly standard weekly inquiry number. Now let's assume your current conversion is 40%, which is really generous. So 8 of those inquiry calls are booked and 16 go somewhere else. Now let's assume we have a 25% increase in conversion. So that's just two, that's all you need, just 2 extra appointments per week. Now, the average client in the States, in Australia, in Europe and South Africa will spend about $525 per year, or dollar equivalents, euro equivalents, rand equivalents per year with their vet. Now, that's an extra income of $10,050 per week. Per year. So $525 a year they spend with us, 2 extra per week. That's an extra weekly income of $1,050 per year, and that equates to 52 times 1,050. That equates to $54,600 per year. $54,600 per year in your practice, just by converting 2 extra phone shoppers per week. Now, I know I've given you a lot of information there. Just go through that information again a little bit more slowly, and to complete this exercise, do the numbers for yourself on your practice. Now, use those worksheets and do the numbers on your practice. So just look at the number of phone calls you're getting, look at your current conversion rate, and imagine increasing it by 25%, by just a quarter, a measly 25%. It's easily done with some training, and see what those numbers are for your practice. Look at the dollars that are leaking out of your practice. Now, what would this mean in extra income for you? Let me give you some suggestions. You could hire a relief vet to work some hours so you get the time to spend more time with your family, or just have some spare time for yourself. You could hire an extra receptionist or a veterinary nurse to help you out during those crazy times. You could buy that extra piece of equipment that you've always been hanging out for such a long time. Hey, you could even take your family on holidays. Take a week off and take them to Bali, Vanuatu, the Caribbean, or somewhere else. Now, what would you like to do? What would you like to do with that money? As I said, it's there waiting. All you've got to do is implement the strategies. So that's it for today. As I said, I promised you I was going to keep it, short and sweet. It's going to take you 5 or 10 minutes of work to measure this, track it, implement it. So all you need to do, just track it and measure it. Next week, we're going to look at the second big profit leakage point, which is looking at the differences that occur in the average transaction fee from one veterinarian to another. And this is the second big profit leak out of the 6 cogs. So look forward to seeing you on the next training next week. Bye.